Hey everyone, John here, staff software engineer with 10 plus years of experience. I'm the lead maintainer of Latterly.io, a career platform that helps engineers get their first or next programming role. And today we are implementing Google Social Sign-In. This is part 4 in a series. Implementing social sign-in was difficult with Blitz.js, the higher order framework that is used in production. So I am converting the website to use T3 Stack. That's what we're doing on our current feature branch right here, pull request number 300. And in the previous stream, we implemented a custom adapter, which will allow dual support for Blitz authentication sessions alongside Next.js authentication sessions. T3 Stack uses Next.js, so that's why we need the dual support. This migration adapter allows us to do an incremental migration from Blitz into T3 instead of needing to do a big bang approach of converting the entire application in one go. So we fixed the lint issues with this. Now, and then we fixed Husky. Husky was creating some friction. Now, Vercel is the next pain point. So Vercel does not know that we're using a monorepo. So that's what we're going to do now. Lincoln says, what's the average starting salary do you usually see out of college for CS? I don't know. You can Google that, right? I'll leave that as an exercise for you. Go ahead and Google it. Okay. So over to Cloud we go. Over to Cloud we go. Previously, I asked Vercel to build my next app from the project root. Now I moved my legacy Blitz.js app into a dir called Blitz. And instead of a dir called, I'm just going to write this syntax, which will actually be more intuitive for the language model. Bathsheba, thank you for the likes. Thanks for being here. Let's see, maybe I can totally ignore this second project for now. Yeah, so we'll continue to have prod build the legacy app. Oh, that's crazy. It's highlighting the whole thing. Okay. Okay, so here I'm asking Claude to help me make a Vercel.json, which is what I would prefer to do. Configuration is code. Cool. All right. And I'm also asking it to push back on me if that's not feasible for some reason. So here in Vercel, there is a settings tab. And one of the settings is where are we building from? So I might need to tweak something here, but I would prefer not to. I would prefer to have it controlled under version control. What's built and where is it deployed? Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Now I'm in the project root, and I will vim vercel.json. I for insert command V to drop what's on my clipboard. I'll add one more new line. I like a new line at the end of the file. Escape :WQ to save and quit. W for write, Q for quit. And we can vim it again just to check that it got persisted, or you could cat Vercel. Ta-da, and it'll print out. And so now you know how to exit vim. With the escape and then colon sequence. Lincoln says, would you say if you don't get an internship in college, you are behind and it's harder to get a job? you would be, I don't know the percent of CS grads that actually get a internship. You would be behind the leaders, but would you be below the average? I don't know. Below the median? I don't know. It would be harder to get a job with no internship compared to having an internship, for sure, right? It's like elementary. But you can get a job without an internship. People do that every day. So would it be harder? Yes, but like, don't freak out, man. Like, why are you stressing yourself out? Didn't you say that you're about to start college? So it's way too early for you to be stressing yourself out, homie. Focus on social networking, and the jobs will take care of themselves. If you learn how to code, that's going to be really important. But here's not the case. You learn how to code, the jobs will take care of themselves. Fake news. Big, big pitfall. Big, big mistake a lot of people make. You can be a fantastic programmer, and if you don't know how to run a job search, you get no job. No job for you. Social networking, if you crush it on that, you can actually be like a mediocre programmer and get a lot of job opportunities if you crush the social networking game. Not based on personal experience or anything. Like a friend told me that. I wouldn't know what it's like to be, a mediocre programmer. Okay. Got this Vercel JSON. Sure. Let's see if it works. Let's see if that works. So what I'd like to do now is try to run the T3 side of the monorepo here in the laterally IO folder. So I'll npm run dev. Going to command click on the localhost URL. Pops up pretty quick. Nice. Love to see it. Let's try to sign in. What happened here? That's weird. Did not expect that. All right, let's see what the logs say. Oh, is it going to drop my email on here? I guess it's good that I did this with my personal before anyone else. These logs need to be quiet by default. This is not secure. I mean, here I am streaming, like demonstrating the security problem, right? I fixed this on the Blitz side of the house. So I'll file an issue, Command-Shift-5. I'm actually noticing there are no values here, huh? Where are the values? These are selects. Here's the insert into. Values $1, 2, 3. Interesting. So I'm actually not seeing any insecure values here. Maybe it's already sanitized. Interesting. Am I just missing it, or is this actually safe already? Okay, it looks like it's actually safe already, so I won't bother to make a complaint about it then. Congrats on Next.js. Thanks. Alfredo, hello. Monday is finally my big day. All right, let's go, Alfredo. Excited for you. Starting a new job. Onboarding tips for you. Check out Join Taro onboarding. Complete onboarding guide. I'll be creating a checklist, an onboarding checklist soon. But basically for now, if I had to pick a single resource that's like the best advice for onboarding, check out this video. And there's a lot more I can say about that. Let's see, besides this video, what else could I say about onboarding? Try to get in contact with 4 key people as soon as possible, ideally day 1. Your hiring manager, an onboarding buddy. Sorry, not your hiring manager, your manager, your like team manager, an onboarding buddy, a recent joiner, and your team lead. And at some companies, those roles may be occupied by the same individual. Your team lead might also be, I don't know, one of the other things. It might also be your onboarding buddy, for example. So that's totally fine. Try to get in contact with these 4 people. Familiarize yourself with the communication channels at the company. If you're using Slack, what are the Slack channels of note? Ask those 4 people, find them out. Review the documentation, try to get yourself set up. Push to improve that documentation. Try to get a quickly deliverable Jira ticket from your team and try to deliver something in the first week. Here's another tip. In the first 2 weeks, try to have one-on-ones with 10 people. That's average of 1 a day. You should be able to knock that out. When you meet people, add them on LinkedIn. And here's one more tip. Make a Google Doc, docs.new will allow you to create a Google Doc, day 1. Make a Google Doc day 1, because day 1, you probably won't have Jira access or Trello access or wherever the issues are stored at your company. You probably won't be getting assigned a formal ticket day 1, but you will have things that you need to do. You will have tasks related to onboarding, and it's critical that you don't lose track of those. And so as an onboarding step for the first week or 2, just make your own Google Doc and track your to-do items daily, ensure they're prioritized, and then from there, take it the way you would your usual tickets. List your items, prioritize them, knock out the most important things first, and the later things you can get to later. So you might have like a corporate training on like security. Like, we don't like getting hacked at this company. Cool, nobody does. When's the training actually due? Probably not day 1. Probably you're gonna have like a month or longer to take care of those trainings, so you can kick that can down the road, so you can put it lower down the list. Those would be some of the onboarding tips that I have to you. And when I say lower down the list, again, emphasizing what is it that we're prioritizing over that. You need to look awesome to your team lead and to your manager. So try to deliver a ticket as soon as possible. That's what I would prioritize over completing the training, if that makes sense. My parent got laid off. I'm trying to help them get a job. Any tips for project manager positions? PMP certification is going to be helpful in that industry. The other is the typical job search techniques apply, although obviously you don't need LeetCode. You don't need LeetCode for project manager, but social networking is super, super critical. Make sure that your resume is ATS friendly. You can do the free Indeed ATS scan. You don't need to pay for this. You can just go get an instant resume scan. Make sure that it can detect your skills, your years of experience, that it can parse these things out. And volume maps onto other job families. So for software engineer, it varies by level, the volume that's necessary. For seniors, I'm encouraging like 50 applications per week. For juniors, it's more like twice that much. And then mid-level, somewhere in the middle. So I don't know what level your parent is at, but I would do something like that. One of the things that's nice about 100 a week, even if it's overkill, it allows you to get statistical signal, which is going to allow you to fine-tune your job search practices based on your own personal evidence, as opposed to like industry level evidence, which is a lot more indirect. You can tailor it to you, which is super, super powerful. Thanks. He's senior level. Makes sense. Are you in Nova? Sure am. Sure am. Shoot me a DM if you ever want to like grab coffee or something. Console.log. Don't know is this off topic, but I have a question. Is learning web dev still worth it? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Look at us looking at a website. People still use websites. And they will for many, many years. They will continue to use websites. web dev is an extremely good way to get your foot in the door of software engineering. It doesn't need to be terminal. It doesn't need to be terminal. You can learn web development as a way to get into software engineering, and then you can go wherever you want. In fact, I'm not aware of a better way to get into software engineering. So while I say learn it, I'm not saying stick with that job title throughout your career, but I am saying it's a fantastic thing to learn. GP, thanks for the follow. All right, cool. Let's get back to a little bit of code. So here I am. Yeah, what went wrong with this? At first I was like, oh no, security issue, but that seems to be okay. On my other window here, which I'm not going to share with you, I have my database. So let me go check whether a Next.js session was generated. And it was. So I generated a session row. I think I can show you this. It's hashed. Yeah, I'm going to show you this. I will actually give $100 to anyone who is actually able to hack this token. So theoretically, it's possible that what I'm about to show you, you could hack me with, and I wouldn't actually be mad. I'd be impressed. So I'll give you $100 if you can do it. Okay. So here is the session metadata in the database. So this is a Postgres database, and the session is managed as a row in the session table. And notice this top record, which is associated with today. It was just created. It's the one that I just created when I hit the button earlier. This is the first token ever that has a null hashed session token. It's null. It's null because it's not handled by Blitz.js. As we scroll over, it does have a session token. So session token is the property name used by NextAuth. So we have dual authentication going on, dual support. This doesn't prove it works, but it proves that we took a step forward. Okay, so something went wrong. We're looking here, we're looking at the UI. This is not the UI we want, so something went wrong. But if we think about the flow of steps, whatever happened that went wrong was after a successful database insert, which is arguably like the hard thing to do. It could just be a routing issue. Could just be a routing issue, which would arguably be the easy thing to fix. Okay, so let's manually try to go home. Will I be logged in? Let's see. I love this. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is like a fun puzzle. Okay. Cannot find first. TRPC client error. Before we try to debug, let's make a hypothesis about what's going on so that we can falsify or confirm. Instead of reading things and not knowing what's going on and having no indication about the possible root cause, you want to create a hypothesis that you can falsify or confirm. When you're writing a unit test, for example, how do you know that your test is ensuring the proper behavior of your code? That is because you know what your code should be doing. Then you write a test in such a way that it breaks, and then you fix it. So you want to see it break, and you want to know why it broke, and then you want to fix it. If the test is passing the first time you write it, and then you change the code under test, and then it keeps passing, there's a big, big problem, which is the false positive problem. It might not even be testing the thing. It might just be passing. And so the equivalent of that when it comes to root causing or debugging is that we create our own hypothesis. Instead of just saying like, oh yeah, I know what's going on. Like that makes sense. That makes sense. You keep saying that makes sense, but like, what's the root cause? You have no idea. It's better to create a list of possible root causes, and then you can sort of rule them out and systematically zero in. That's like a much better approach. Okay. Console.log says, what is the best place to find a mentor as I feel like I need more guidance? Well, the first place you can look is you can join Latterly. That won't be the best place yet. In the future, I would love it to be. Oops, wrong L, sorry. You can also go to the Top Honors leaderboard and view or vote. So there's this tech influencer category, tech influencer or school. I'm down to include mentors in this list. Maybe it should be a new votable category. Let me know. Or would you consider a mentor as kind of like a school? It's like a kind of school. I kind of like looping it into the school level because it allows us to compare mentors to schools one-to-one, which is really unique. So for example, this school votable already includes boot camps. So here's Career Foundry head-to-head against California, like Caltech. There's no other place where you can vote on them head-to-head. So come over here, vote. Obviously, it needs more data points. There's only one vote registered on schools. But I'd like to include mentor here, and then you could vote on them, or you could treat them as a different category. I would prefer to include it as a school, and then we can have tags, so you can like parse out the mentors by themselves. All right, there's one answer. The next answer is jointaro.com. So there's a bunch of like mentor people that work on that, like they're on the Join Taro Slack channel, and you can like talk to them. And then the other place, which is here's like the real answer. This is like the state-of-the-art place to go to find a tech mentor. When I say state-of-the-art, I don't mean it's particularly good. I think the state-of-the-art is not good. And that's why I would like Latterly to get better at this. But there is still a place, and that is Mentor Cruise. Mentor Cruise. Or Code Mentor. Okay, both of these. Okay, three. There's three of them. These are the three places that you can go that are kind of like the current normal places to go. Oh, I'm like not signed into GitHub. What? That's weird. Oh, did I change my password? Bummer. Okay, I'll sign in later. So yeah. Mentor Cruise, Code Mentor, and ADP List are the normal places to go. You can also book a call with me if you want. Click to book an expert session right there at latterly.io. All right, hope that was helpful. You can also get sort of like mentored by peers, right? I don't know if you're interested in that, but if you want to do that, come join the Discord and you can like talk to people. No fee, just talk to people, just like humans do. And then there are the endorsed communities. So this is just like more Discords to join with more peers. And there are some mentors that will be on like some of these. It's not the most direct, or it's like not the most direct way to find them, but you could connect with someone who could mentor you. The most direct, so those are like options. But the most direct way would be like the Code Mentor, Code Cruise, ADP List, stuff like that. Okay, so let's get back to this thing. So what's my hypothesis? My hypothesis is that we're not selecting a user object. My hypothesis is that somehow I'm failing to select a user object. And why would that be the case? When I log in with Discord, I think it's, yeah, I don't know. When I log in with Discord, it's not associating my actual user somehow. So that's as far as I can guess. Let's go check it out. Post.getLatest. Oh, okay. It's complaining about this. Well, that immediately invalidates my hypothesis. This has to do with a totally different entity, which is the post entity. And this one I think is pretty straightforward. We just don't have a post model. Model post. Yeah, model post does not exist. So model post is part of T3 stack by default, and I don't need them in Latterly, so I deleted them. So post.get latest, Command Shift F, Command V, enter. Here I can see the prefetch. I'm tempted to just comment this line. Yeah, here, this. I don't want this. I'm not going to commit these comments, but this will help us prove whether this is the root cause. Basically, if I can say, hey, don't try to find posts at all. Don't try to find posts, and it's still trying to fail on posts. So who else is calling this thing? Latest post function. Command Shift F, Command V, enter. Where is the latest post function used? It's used over here. So I'm going to comment importing this whole thing. Comment. Okay, so this is kind of cool, right? So T3 by default will show you that you logged in successfully, because if you log in, you'll get to see your post, right? But posts don't exist for us. So we're going to do this a different way. We're just going to show a paragraph, which is like, hey, dude, good job logging in. She's like, hey, dude, good job logging in. But with semantic HTML. So we're going to use a paragraph, not a React fragment, right? I registered for the website a couple months ago when you were still creating the website. Cool. I mean, the website is going to always be in progress. It's like an open source website. Like, we'll be working on it for a decade. I mean, unless I get like hit by a car or something. But yeah, drop by the Discord. So if you signed up for the website, if you took the checklist, like the first item in the checklist is to join the Discord. So you should already have social support. You feel me? So when I say sign up for the website, that's a quick way of saying do the things in the free checklist. So for everyone who hasn't seen the checklist before, okay. Like these are the tips that I want everyone to do. And it's like, it takes time. It could take you a couple months to do this stuff. It could take you a year to do this stuff. So, I don't expect you to have done all of it, but what I want to do is I want to say like, hey, here's the common curriculum. Where are you? Like in this process, like where are you stuck? That's going to help me help you. You see what I'm saying? But literally like step one is join the Discord. So if you sign up for the website and you didn't join the Discord, like, bro, I don't believe you. Like you're not putting in work. It's the easiest thing to click that link. And then you can ask whatever questions you want on the Discord. Because some people will say, well, the curriculum doesn't really address my question. It does, because you can just ask people the question. Like that's the reason it's the first step. Okay. So when I say like sign up for the website, I should add the context that I'm also encouraging you to start stepping through the checklist. And if you have issues, go drop by the Discord and we can help you more there. Does that make sense? So check this out. We're logged in. No cap, I'm going to end the stream right there. I mean, that proves that dual session support works. So I don't need to drag this out any further. Thanks for joining. We made it. We made it to dual auth between Blitz and T3. It only took like 10 to 15 hours of work. And I say only sarcastically there. That was like really painful. This is like the fourth stream. Now that I've made it this far, what are next steps? Yeah, I want to make sure that Vercel is happy. Looks like Vercel did not like Claude's draft Vercel JSON, whatever. I'll go tinker with that. I won't bore you. Make sure Next is installed in dependencies on Latterly monorepo. Here's the Husky. Okay. I won't bore you all with this stuff. It's just going to be troubleshooting Vercel CI. Other than that, we want to make sure there's no regressions in prod, right? So here's the production UI. Obviously, this looks different than the T3 UI. But the point here is not to migrate anything. It's just to make sure that we can safely spin this up and log in, which we already did. So from here, it's a matter of basically shipping the pull request, like making sure that it can build and shipping the pull request. And then later, bit by bit, we'll bring those pieces over. Now that T3 is working with social sign-in by Discord, adding Google as a provider is trivial. I will do that in the next stream. I want to minimize the code in this pull request. And I know that's a joke, right? It's a joke because we're minimizing a pull request that has 1,200 files changed. And so you might say like, dude, like, what do you mean minimize? Like you moved every file in the app. You still want to minimize it. Trust me. Trust me. If the minimum is 1,200, stick with 1,200. We're going to do Google auth in a different pull request. We're going to do incremental migration in a different pull request. So it's just stabilizing the build from now. It seems that Next.js is not a dependency. I'll go 5 minutes here back and forth with Claude to see if we can fix the Vercel build, but I think this is actually going to be pretty boring. And notice that I'm driving Claude here. So there's a level of trust. There's a level of guess and check I'm willing to do. If you remember the 7 search strategies, they're pinned here on TikTok. Here in the colorful jacket, I go through the 7 search strategies. Keyword-based search like Googling, Boolean operators, official documentation. ChatGPT is another one. Guess and check is another one. We combine them. We can combine them, right? So when I use ChatGPT, I'm not just like brainlessly like doing whatever it says, like I'm an AI zombie. No, we're going back and forth and I'm thinking through critically what it's saying. Sometimes I will try out what it recommends, even if I don't understand it. Sometimes I will do that strategically when I know I'm in a safe sandbox. Other times I'll push back because it's like, I know that that's like, you're not getting it. Just like if you talk to a human, if they say something like outrageous, they're probably just misunderstood you. And it's the same with a large language model. If it's like, oh, you're missing Next, clearly you should just install Next. Like you're not getting it. Next is already installed in the child folder. So that's why I pushed back the way I did. When I said it's already installed in Blitz app as part of the application, I don't want it installed in the top level. So I'm actually driving. It told me to do something and I'm like, no, we're going to do something else. Come up with a different idea. And so in that sense, we're driving the large language model instead of being driven by the language model. Does that make sense? It's a co-pilot, not a pilot. Do not let the language model be a pilot. Cool. So we're specifying the source and the child. So I'm going to copy this over. Here's my top level Vercel.json command AVS. Just because I save doesn't mean I'm going to commit it. I want to look through the diff. But what I'm doing is I'm making sure I understand what's going on. Ray Ortega says, yes, quote that. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. By the way, speaking of quoting things that I'm saying, the current stream is saved, recorded, and persisted on YouTube. So you can check out my YouTube channel. Link is in bio. And you'll be able to look up the current stream, which is part of a series. It's part of a very large playlist, which is the Building Latterly playlist. And so you can see, like, I think I have years worth of, streams that I've done 6 months ago. What do I got? It goes back. I barely know what's going on when I first integrated Stripe. You love it, right? You love it. And one of the things that I really like about this series is that authenticity and that transparency. So other people who are having imposter syndrome and like anxiety, like even for very senior engineers. So I have over 10 years of experience, which means that a year ago, I had over 9 years of experience. And there are still many, many cases where I barely know what's going on. Now, for some people, that creates like a perpetual imposter syndrome. That's the wrong approach. That's going to like torment you throughout your career if that's the mindset that you take. Treat these as growth opportunities. It should be exciting to not know what's going on. You should be learning things. You want to be in a growth mode. You want to be in a growth mode. You don't want to know everything. First of all, you can't know like we're not omnipotent. So you can't know everything that's going to happen. So the question is, what percent of context do you need to have to be able to move forward confidently? And I say as a general rule that I like to have 50 to 80% of the context. If I mostly don't know what's going on, that starts to be a red flag. Like if I know most of the context, does this make sense to you? If I know most of the context, I'm making an informed decision. If the majority of the relevant data is outside of my knowledge, that is a risky situation. Now it's still going to happen. That's going to happen too. You just need to be very strategic and address that situation differently. You need to be extra careful. So this is my mental model in starting a new job. Let me do the reverse of this 20% here. We'll do this as an orange. Okay. Ray Ortega says, I've been a software engineer for 25 years. Can't remember it all. There you go. Ernie says, what YouTube was that? The link is in my bio, Ernie. Laterally like a ladder. Spelled just like you're climbing the corporate ladder. So 2 Ds, laterally.io. Okay. So let's start with this. In an ideal world, you know all of the context. I disagree with that, but let's say that that's the case. The problem is that's impossible. But let's presume that it's still good to be close to that. So what is close to knowing everything? It's knowing, you could say, as much as possible, or you could say knowing even as much as possible is unreasonable, because the way that you would know as much about a problem as possible is you would study nothing else. The way that I would know as much as possible about JavaScript, I would never study Python. I would never study TypeScript. I would never study anything except JavaScript. Like I would never have, when we think about college, I would have only studied JavaScript and I would not have taken any courses that didn't have to do with JavaScript. I wouldn't have even been able to get a CS degree. If you got a CS degree, it proves that you don't know as much as possible about JavaScript because you were doing other things besides just reading the JavaScript ECMAScript specification over and over, right? So as much as possible is also an unreasonable standard because we need to do other things like have a life and like, talk to humans and stuff. If you ever did social networking, which you should do to get a programming job, then you took time away from studying JavaScript in order to do social networking, right? So the fact that you have a job at all, it's not possible to be employed and to also know as much as possible about JavaScript. Whoever in this world has spent all of their time just studying JavaScript, if that person exists at all, they are not employed. So as much as possible is also an unreasonable standard. The most that I think that you can get, and my ears are open if you have another suggestion, the most that I think that you can get in terms of the context related to a problem is the majority of the context. The majority. Now, if you have a way to measure it and you can say, well, this guy, there's like a quiz and this guy scored whatever and that other guy scored higher. You can differentiate between, say, maybe like 51% and 99%. And they're both in the majority, but they're still like different amounts of the majority, okay? Like maybe a super majority. That presumes that you have some like measuring tool set available. Cool. If you have it, use it. And what you'll find is that there's some rational maximum between 50 and 100%, and it's not 100%. Without such a tool set, we can still feel like we know most of what's going on. Most of what's going on. And here I go for a heuristic, which is the 80-20 rule. And so with the 80-20 rule, which is a heuristic that says like 20% of the elements of a set are responsible for 80% of the effects of that set. That's one abstract way to describe it. There's a bunch of other ways to describe the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. So it's the general idea that for many cases, after the 80%, you're getting into a region of diminishing marginal returns where it doesn't make sense to spend more time. Think about writing unit tests. Getting to 80% coverage can be done with relative ease and great return, and then getting that last 20% is a lot of effort for less valuable coverage. And that is a principle that I apply when I think about contexting. So for a problem, if we're assuming that like knowing as much as possible is the goal here, and then we're accounting for this empirical aspect, 50 to 80% looks like the range to me. So over 50%, I know most of what's going on. So I am already getting into a situation of decreasing marginal return. Does that make sense? If I know most of what's going on already, any additional information must be incremental or marginal. Does that make sense? It must be incremental or marginal. So that's why 50 to 80% is this yellow region. Red is trying to go for 100%. Like, it's almost like malinvestment. Like you almost spent too much time studying. If you're a specialist, cool. But if it's some problem that's not your area of expertise, it's almost like you're spending too much time studying that thing, right? So here's the yellow area, which maybe shouldn't be yellow. This is like my preferred zone, actually. So let me switch the green and the yellow. This graph is confusing. This graph sucks. Anyway, my preference is to be in that 50-80% zone. There are many cases where it's actually not efficient to even give you the time to study up to get in this range. Being in a pinch. If you're in a pinch, you will actually be forced to make decisions under limited information. And then you're in this less than 50%. And you need to be strategically different. There are still things that you can do here. It's not my favorite place to be, but you can still basically make conservative assumptions and models about the world, be defensive, look for independent lines of corroborating evidence, use tried and true methods that work in other domains, and then you have some reason to think that they'll work in this domain. You have less confidence, but there's still things that you can do. Okay. So as a career, when you start something new, you're going to be in like one of these. You're going to be in like one of these most of the time. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll get a new thing where it's like, oh, like I already have pre-existing context on that. But this is like, you're going to be here over and over. And this should be exciting to you because you get the opportunity to learn and grow. If you try to get into this red zone all the time, your growth is limited. Like, how much can you even grow? You basically know everything in the domain. Not only are you limiting your action set because it's like, I'm not going to do anything outside of this niche, you're limiting your growth and your opportunities. Okay. So the right approach for this, I barely know what's going on, is to own it and get excited about it and learn and grow, not to be like terrified. Because you want to be out here. What do I got? Let me get the paint tool. You want to be out here where you're like learning and growing and excited and living life. And you don't want to be in here where you're like stuck in this tiny bubble and anywhere else you go. This is like not a good investment. Okay, I think I did a very poor job of convincing you all. So I want to think about how I phrase this next time around. But anyway, my goal was to make you less anxious and to help you adopt a continuous learner mindset and to help you understand that, like, if you're going to survive in this industry, even the most senior people are continuously learning new things, and that's a good thing, not something to be scared of. That was my intent. And I'm going to try to be better. Okay, great. Ray says, I train programmers and I always teach them to memorize the references and where they're located, like the old library cards back in the day. Know where the info is, not necessarily the info. Yeah, that was Einstein's thing. He didn't have to memorize things because he knew where he could look it up, eh? Ray Ortega, agree 100%. I get what you're saying, but I recommend the same thing. Word. Makes sense. Okay. Anyway, that's where you can go to see today's stream if you want to look back on it. Almost at 1,000 likes on TikTok. Nice. So what am I doing here? I'm closing this. Oh, we're trying to make Vercel happy. And I was going to time box it to 5 minutes. That worked out really well, didn't it? 5 more minutes, famous last words. So I'm verifying my Vercel change. And I noticed on the left hand, it was trying to use Vercel next in the present directory, which failed, understandably so. And on the right hand, the change is advocating that the Vercel builder should dive into the Blitz app. And it will dive in, it will CD into that app, and it will build over there. So this looks reasonably like I expect. I have no reason to invalidate it. Okay, so chore, fix Vercel, build. Ray says, every time I do a live code something, an hour and a half later, I only have a few lines done. Yeah, I get sidetracked. I mean, one of my weak points, but I feel okay with it outside of work. Inside of work, I really have to guard against it, right? Because you don't want to get too curious and get distracted from the task at hand. But like on the weekend, I feel fine going down rabbit holes. It's like part of the reason I do open source. So on the job, I'm not that scatterbrained, but by nature I am, and I have to like guard against it, basically. My toxic trait. Okay, so the migration adapter looks fair enough. I'm sure we'll run into some issues in the future, but I was able to see my name Vanderveer, so it found my user. Okay. Now I want to go look at the page. .tsx app page tsx. Here we are. And what I want to do is I don't want to check in comments, right? So here's hello.greeting. Does not exist on sup. I want to basically clean this up. So here's the post trpc. No, this is a post component. I'm going to delete this entire component. I will add a git keep file so that we keep the directory. What code editor do you use? This is VS Code. I might try out Cursor. I'm going to try out Cursor again pretty soon. But for now, it's VS Code, yeah. Use AI Cursor, bro. Yeah, I had like one of the first YouTube reviews of Cursor. I have like using Cursor a year ago on my YouTube, and it wasn't good enough. But yeah, I know. Like I just said, I know it's better. I know it's gotten better. So I'll try it out again in the next month or two here. The thing is I'm really sus on it because everyone's overhyping it. And like last time I used it, I was let down. I think a lot of people are freaking out because they're like finding out about it, but they haven't actually tried it in a big application, and it breaks down in a big application. So what I'm really doing is I'm waiting for the next big model drop, whether that's like GPT Strawberry, GPT-5, Claude 4, Gemini 3, whatever. I'm looking for the next big model drop, and that's when I want to go use Cursor. Is like, okay, there's a better model, and so it's going to behave better. That's what I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, people keep harassing me like, you got to check out Cursor. I'm like, I've checked it out multiple times and it was never that good. But maybe using it with Claude makes it that much better. And I haven't tried it with Claude, so whatever. Maybe I'll get tricked into trying that out. Dang, I just found out about it last week. It's crazy good. If it's crazy good, do this. Clone down Latterly and ask it to change the Latterly Blitz app into a T3 Stack app. It just won't do it. It's going to fall apart. It's going to get so confused. With Claude 3.5 makes all the difference. So Chris, again, like that's what everyone's saying. The problem is as soon as you have an app that's bigger than the context window, it falls apart again. And so I think a lot of people are building small apps, and it's like, yeah, it's awesome for small apps. It can basically write a small app for you. But Latterly is not small anymore. Like it's a non-trivial app. So I think I'm going to get let down, but I'll maybe give it a try. We'll see. Yeah, a task app is not an app. Exactly. Like it's remarkable. I'm not throwing shade. But the reason it's remarkable is because it shows us how far we've come, and it helps us imagine how far we could go in the near future. I'm optimistic about all of that. But what I don't think it actually does is at least last time I checked, it doesn't actually get the job done. It doesn't actually work today. And it supposedly works with like all the VS Code extensions. In my experience, like no, like it has compatibility issues with a bunch of them. Again, like I'm sure that they fixed up some, but anyway. I'll give it another try by end of year, whether it's after the next model drop or if like Strawberry hasn't come out and they're taking too long, maybe I'll just go ahead and try it with Claude. So what am I doing here? The prefetch thing. Do I want to implement a new API call? Not really. Maybe I'll do this because I want to keep the code that connects the backend, but I don't have posts. So maybe what I'll do here is I'll change the post router. So when I go to get latest here, I'm not going to go to DB post. I'm going to get something else. Even Copilot on my VS Code couldn't figure out the logic I was trying to achieve in all I was building. I wrote it myself. It was faster. Yeah, I do think Claude is better than Copilot because Copilot, unless you customize it, is using like a language model that has sub 3.5 quality. So there's like the quality is just worse on Copilot basically. So I know Cursor can do better than that, but I don't think it can do good enough. And let me give you another reason why. Even Claude, when I directly use it on a component, it often fails to get the component right. How on earth is it going to get my whole app right? You see what I mean? So that's, I think, a more illuminating example than comparing to GitHub Copilot. Let's see, I don't want to create a post. Oh, that's the create method. Yeah, I don't want to create a post. Here's the hello public procedure. That's exactly what I want. Yeah, okay. So let me actually go back and use so if hello is there, hello.greeting. Yeah. Let me go back and use what T3 recommends by default, but I'll cut out the latest post. That's it. That's it. So we'll still have the hello from TRPC. We'll still have hello from TRPC. That allows us to keep this skeleton code, this sort of like connective stuff that I do want to keep as good reference code. That's the reason that I want to keep it. This get latest, this is what I'm going to change. We'll get rid of this create post method. So here, I will simply return what? Some object. What properties does it have? So when we come over here, we get the post. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Get latest prefetch. What does it benefit us to prefetch that? Okay, so I will delete this line. The only purpose of that prefetch was to load the latest post component down there, and we're not going to use it. So why is it indirect like this? Look at how indirect this is. It's void fetching it out of this. It's void fetching it out of this page, and then the post is rendering it by suspense query. Thanks for the follow. Over 1,400 likes. Thanks, y'all. This is a weird and indirect pattern. Instead of just passing it from the parent to the child, it's void fetching it, and then over here, it's magically using a suspense query. Whatever. I don't care. I'm deleting it. Yeah, I don't think I like that pattern, so I'm glad to delete it. I wanted to keep it for reference, but like if I don't like the pattern, why am I referring to it? You know? That's confusing to me. I don't know why this line wouldn't just be inside of the child. Maybe I'll figure that out later. Maybe there's like a good reason that it's done over here. Because this is a server component, maybe that's the reason. This is going to be a use client? Yeah. Okay, that's the reason to void fetch it. Interesting. Interesting. Now I'm scope creeping myself, because what if I do keep it? I could void fetch the checklist. That would be the analogous thing at latterly.io. Thank you for the likes. Over 2,000. Awesome. So here, no, it would be the authenticated state. That would be the only thing I would want to void fetch, is whether the user is logged in, because it allows me to know what to render. And we're already fetching that through this get server auth session. Cool. All right. I'm fine with deleting it. It is an interesting pattern. We're losing a little bit of that knowledge by deleting it, but It's really like preserving something that I don't need. And so now that I've done that, Command X, Z, Command Shift F, Command F, Enter. I want to see where is this used. Okay, we use it in Ari's Tail. That's a different app. My basic checklist, yeah. The blitz side. But this is used nowhere. Now that I'm not using that component, this is not used anywhere on the T3 side. So I'll just remove the entire method. Cool. And this is what I expect. Now I have the hello and the secret message, right? That's what I'm actually using over here. Let me go to my local UI, right? Hello from TRPC, logged in as Vanderveer, sign out. Are you sure you want to sign out? It's forwarding me to store, which is bad, but this is just like a routing problem. Store. So we'll deal with that separately. So this is going to be feature. What's the feature here? This is more like a chore. RM extraneous logic. Chris, thanks for the follow. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to fix the routing, and I want to make sure Vercel build is working. Let's check on the Vercel build. Here, back on the project. "55 minutes ago was the last try. 13 minutes ago. All right, so what did it complain about? Because this one would be complaining about the Vercel build, right? So let's see what it complained about here. 67 lines, so it navigated into the Blitz side, and it started to do the thing. Husky install down here. Yeah. Okay. I don't want it to install Husky in my build process. From Twitch, hi dude, what's up, what's up? Thanks for being here. Vercel deploy class, question mark? No, that's not it. It's the package.json on the Blitz app monorepo module. It's trying to run Husky over here. Do I have Husky in the top folder as well? Yeah, so Husky's up here. So I'm tempted to just delete the prepare line. Thank you for the follow. Data Analytics Simplified. Thank you for the follow. So I could delete the prepare line here. I could swap it out for just running prettier. Yeah. So all our Husky does, if you look at Husky, it just runs prettier. Healthy. I'll try learn something. Cool. So here I'm going to swap it out for npm run lint. Yeah. So let's make sure that this works locally. But the idea here is that I won't run. Yeah, okay. It's gonna complain about that. Let me npm run lint. I won't run Husky. I will just directly run Prettier. Something went wrong. Cannot read ESLint ignore file. Does the Blitz app have its own git ignore? It does not, nor should it. Nor should it. Just read your networking script. Do you know the success rate for getting a referral? The latest version of that, the latest version for the cold outreach that I do is different than what's in the open source one. But yeah, I think we're looking at like around 5 to 10% if memory serves. So it could be higher than that. Hold on, for getting a referral, yeah, 5 to 10% if memory serves. So you'll have more people that connect with you, but they may not actually give you a referral. So like response rate will be something like, I think 10 to 20%, but then the response leading to a referral, like 5 to 10. All going from memory there. Do you have any examples of JavaScript tests using Jest in some GitHub thing? No tests on this one. Not currently. Okay, so here, ESLint. So I need to update this ESLint RCJS.
I wanted to be surprised for her. I want to do that, but if she's walking down the stairs, she needs to have her eyes open.
Okay.
Mommy's here. Mommy,
in my lint task, I'm using ESLint, and I need to update the config below so that it uses .gitignore from the repository root instead of the local folder. Let's see if it understands that should traverse up one level. Really good idea to give language models questions like this where you know the answer ahead of time. Cool. And so you can see this is a great example. It's working out the syntax, which would have taken me a couple minutes to figure out. But I still know that it's doing the right thing. It's traversing up a level. So so this is a great example of a win-win with a language model. It's doing what I expect, but I was able to have a concrete technical expectation, right? Even though I didn't know the specific syntax. Where can I find the updated script? It's in my brain. Haven't written it down. Sometimes it'd be like that. Feel free to DM me on. I think I copied it on Discord. Yeah, if you joined the Discord, I pasted it on the Discord. So pull up to the Discord, but you know, when things change, it takes me a while to like update the website and stuff. Should I download Chrome to MacBook to learn HTML, or will Safari do? Don't use Safari. Get Chrome, absolutely. Absolutely get Chrome. All right, let's see if it'll run lint now. Still mad. This will be our last try, and we're going to time box it for the stream if this doesn't work. Oh, is this real? What? That looks weird to me. Use ESLint RC is off. That's real? Wow, okay. I did not know about that option. It's like not successfully navigating up a folder. Like the code is here, but it's not doing that. Git ignore patterns. All right. So I'm done. I'm done tinkering with that. Let's see if it changes anything. Double dash ignore path. Yeah, that also doesn't work. Unexpected top unexpected top level property. You're not real, dog. That one kind of worked. Okay, cool.
That is not learning TV. I said learning TV for Disney or Netflix.
Okay. So what if I roll this back now that I've done the traversal up in the package file? Okay. That seems to work. Okay, so we can go with this. Lint ESLint. Where's the ESLint task? So here's the lint ESLint. Yeah, all right, cool. That's a really simple change. Boom, just go up a level there. And then lint blog is going to use my custom one. Okay, so now what about this? Writing a linter. No, just configuring one. Whoa. I don't know what it was so mad about right there. Oh, those are the things that it formatted? Yeah, okay, it's literally writing. I don't know why it's printing all of that to the console. Okay, I should be using check. Yeah, that's right. Cool, and then I can check silent. So prettier, check silent. Let me force a bad case where like something is malformatted. So we're going to npx prettier check silent, and what is this? So it thinks that silent is not a real option. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Okay, how about check? What about check quiet? Okay, that's fine. Doesn't recognize the silent flag. What kind of a project are you building? We're building Latterly.io, which is a social networking site, a career acceleration platform for software engineers. Thanks for being here. Yawn. Sorry about the yawn. Okay, so prettier check is working. And so now npm run lint is going to work. And I just want to mess something up to prove that the formatting is working. So yeah, here's a JavaScript file, right? So yeah, you see how if I command S, it auto truncates the extra line breaks that I don't need? Okay, so here, I want to save it without triggering the fix on save. So how can I do that? I can vim it. So I'm going to vim prettier config. So vim is not set up to include my format on save. So I can save it, boom. And now I have a malformatted file. And now I want to run pretty check, and I want it to tell me that the config is bad. Yeah, warn prettier.config.js. Code style issues found above. Forgot to run prettier. Cool. That's exactly what I want to see. Cool. Great. And so let me also npm run lint, and I'll get the same concern. Some super fast typing. Thanks. It's just practice makes perfect, eh? Cool. So we found it again. I'll go ahead and kill the process. That proves the point. And let me reverse the bad formatting change. Is there a lot of math involved in computer language? Not for me, not as a user, not as a programmer. If you want to get into the theory of computer science, you can do tons of math, sure. So here, I want to feat, let's do a chore. Chore, better lint task. Better lint task. All right, cool. So that should resolve Husky and CI. This build is taking 17 minutes. What's going on there? That's crazy. Yeah, there's already an error. I don't know like why it's still going. It should have thrown out when Husky was mad. Yeah, okay. Some kind of weird caching thing. On the Vercel UI, it wasn't actually still building, even though it reported that it was building. Okay, so what else is going on? Oh, the other thing I could fix if I want, but it's not necessary. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let it continue to be broken. And that is the route forwarding on sign in. So in the monorepo, if you spin up T3 and if you sign in, you're able to sign in successfully, which is the major part I care about. But the routing is broken. It sends you to the store route, which is not a thing. I'm going to ignore that and deal with that in the next PR when I add Google Social Sign-In, because it'll have the same problem. It'll be sending me to this like crazy page. So I'll fix it at that time. Prince Solomon, once I learn HTML, do I love to C and then Java? Probably not. Probably you won't love to C and Java. Probably you will not love it. Do I need to learn Python to land a job around 75K? No, you don't need to. You can, but you don't need to. 75K, you can earn 75K with basically any programming language. So you don't need Python. You just need some programming language. It could be Python. It doesn't have to be. Hopefully that helped. So here's the better lint task. It hasn't died yet. These others, you can see they're dying in 12, 4, 44 seconds. In this case, we have survived over 2 minutes. So I think it's properly building. Brilliant. We've even got a fully successful build. We've got a fully successful lint and build. Fully successful lint and build. Brilliant. Deployment completed. All right, so the staging environment is up. Cool. Let's take a look at this. This is a Vercel staging environment, an ephemeral environment. Okay, and this is why we check the staging environment. So there is an environment variable issue, I believe. Get current user is having a function, is having a problem. Yeah, that's right. I need to specify the output path. Okay. Cool. Now my Blitz app builds in Vercel CI and it is deployed, but visiting the home page yields an error because okay. For clarification, once I learn HTML, where do I branch off next to learn? You should learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in that order. Then you'll be ready to start applying for jobs and building things. In your spare time, you can continue to learn TypeScript and you can continue to learn other web development skills like accessibility, SEO, testing, semantic HTML, and more. But those will be optional. The core are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then the job search itself is a core set of skills that are non-negotiable. You need them to obtain an interview at all and then to pass the interview. So the nice to haves would be how to write unit tests and things like that. So let's see if I can run the Blitz app locally. So here I am in the Blitz app. Let me npm run dev. Does this one also have the regression, or does this work? And then it's a matter of telling Vercel where to deploy. Okay, this seems to work. Cool. Thank you for the likes. Over 3,700 likes on TikTok. Right on. Okay. So let me use this. Simply adding the routes. So this will be chore, Vercel, routing. Let's say not chore, this will be fix, Vercel, routing. Rob, thanks for sharing. Prince Solomon, I'm guessing you are a freelancer making 300K plus a year. No, I'm not a freelancer. I have a 9-to-5 job. I just do open source on the weekends. And do I make 300K a year? It depends where the equity ends up being worth. Like, it's private equity, so you can't really value it right now. But no, I would not assert that I make that much. It may end up that way, but that would be a bit of a gamble. Okay. So it'll take about 2.5 minutes. I'll do this one more time on the stream and then I'll take it off stream. But yeah, I'm optimistic that it is just a routing issue, Vercel routing issue, basically. Over 4,000 likes. Thank you so much. Quick reminder that you can go to latterly.io and sign up for free. It's totally open source. If you're already pro, you can come contribute, make it better. Gives you this free checklist that helps you land your first or next programming role. There is as little as $1 a month. You can unlock an advanced checklist with additional evidence-based tools to improve the performance of your job search, obtain more interviews, pass more interviews, and so on. You can join the Discord totally free. If I didn't get to your question, drop by the Discord. You can always ask a question over there. 24/7 chatbot support as well. A custom GPT, including a large amount of Latterly scope in its RAG window, if that means anything to you. Cool, that one built in under 2 minutes. I guess we were able to use some caching. So let's check this out. Boo, still problematic. Still problematic. Let's do this. All right, so here's what I'm doing next. Just to give you an idea of how I would prompt it to follow up on this issue. But I think we're going to wrap the stream there. Here it's giving me some tip, so I will definitely try this out. But I won't bore you with basically it's a guess and check, right? Until we can get the deployment working. And so probably I will need to be able to update this Blitz config as well. And so I'm estimating this is like 30 to 60 more minutes of more work. And so you've seen what I'm going to do and you can kind of predict it from here, but I won't be asking you to like watch that. I think it's going to be rather boring. Prince Solomon, I'm glad I'm following you. What you are doing is beyond my spec. I'm learning. When are you doing React Native? least I got roughly 500 likes. Thank you so much for the likes. React Native, probably next year. I don't know if lots in the audience demand it, I'll do it sooner, but I have a lot of other things that I think are going to be more valuable in the shorter term. For example, additional checklists helping individuals go from junior to senior and senior to senior, like Staff Plus. So keep an eye out for those checklists. A lot of the content on the site right now helps people learn to code and land their first or next job, but it's relatively early career targeted. Throughout the rest of the year, I will be building out late career support more. So that's something that I have my eye on, focused on. But if like all of the audience is like, no, we want a mobile app, then I can always pivot.